Okay. Well, look, thanks everyone for coming along today. It's good to see that there is a little bit of interest in this announcement. It's nice to see such a big roll-up. The documents are being distributed, so you'll be able to peruse them, obviously, at your leisure. But our policy will deliver the same emissions reductions as the government's, but without the government's great big new tax. Our policy will be simpler, cheaper and more effective than the government's because it relies on incentives, not penalties. Now, at the heart of our policy is an emissions reduction fund which will slowly ramp up and it will be at the level of $1 billion in the fourth year. From this fund, we will purchase improvements in the environment that will also reduce emissions. The kinds of things that we might purchase will perhaps be increased soil carbon, which will improve soil productivity. We could purchase cleaner power stations, perhaps using innovative technology such as algal synthesis. There'll be the potential for a great deal of extra tree planting on suitable land. The criteria by which we will judge the bids that we get for spending under the fund, first, it must involve a reduction in emissions. Second, it must improve the environment as well as just reduce emissions. Third, there must be no increase in costs to consumers, and I'll repeat that very important point. I suppose these bells might ring for 4 minutes, so I'll have to make this point again over the bells. There will be no increased costs to consumers. Now, Mr Rudd, I believe, has been out there this morning saying our policy is no good because it doesn't involve compensation. Well, you don't need compensation if you aren't slugging consumers with higher prices. And fourth, there must be no cost to jobs. Now, I want to make it very clear that this policy is not about using regulation rather than the market. This is a market-driven policy, only it will be driven by rewards, not penalties. There are some other important aspects and dimensions to our policy. There will be extra incentives for solar. We want to achieve 1 million extra solar roofs by 2020, and I think this is a very exciting policy which gives ordinary Australian families a chance to contribute to a better environment and lower emissions. It also gives us a chance to make use of one of Australia's great characteristics. We are the most sun-drenched continent on Earth. Let's make more of our sunshine. We've also got a provision in there for green corridors, urban forests. We want to plant an extra 20 million trees under that aspect of our policy because that will contribute to better towns and better suburbs. I should also mention there that there is $2 million to study the use of underground direct voltage cable for the high voltage transmission. I think it would be a terrific thing if we could get those really ugly high voltage cables that crisscross our cities underground, and that's what we'll be studying under that $2 million aspect of the policy. Finally, we're providing for public forums. I think there is a great hunger in our community for debate on this subject. I think that for too long debate was suppressed on this subject, and we want to foster debate in our community on climate change and how it might best be tackled. My office will be distributing a list of people who you might like to contact for comment on the policy. I do want to draw your attention to the work that has been done by Frontier Economics who have said that our policy is economically and environmentally responsible. Finally, I just want to say that by improving our soil, by making more use of our sunshine, I think we have brought together a policy which is quintessentially Australian. It's solar, it's about solar and it's about soil. These are important aspects of our country. I also want to point out that this is a policy which is it's careful, it's costed and it's capped. There can be no cost blowouts under this policy the way there have been under so many of the government's policies in this area.